Hi, my name's Matthew Pearson from Zone 1 Hearing, and I'm very privileged today to have Sunir from Signia joining me. And what we're going to just do is have a chat about a few recent patients that I've spoken to him about. And the reason for that is I do believe Signia's got some unique selling points to their products, and I wasn't even fully convinced there'd be a solution for these particular patients, but I'm just going to walk you through. So the first one, I don't know if you remember, I had a lady who'd brought her mother over from overseas and thought she had a hearing loss. So usual thing, she was finding she was doing a bit of lip reading one-to-one, having a bit of a struggle hearing the television and a few other areas. And then when we looked at sort of the cost of the hearing aids, that was a bit of a concern. Also, she had heard about MFI, so made for iPhone technology, and as she used the phone quite a lot, was very keen to hear through the hearing aids using that technology. She also decided to throw me a bit of a curveball. And I really would fancy rechargeability rather than normal batteries. And then finally, when we were discussing it with her daughter, she mentioned the fact that because the mum was splitting the time between the two countries, that, is there a way of adjusting them without her going to another clinic and having another sort of payment she's got to pay? And I thought, well, I'm actually not sure that there is. I was able to find her a product that was cost effective. I was able to find a product that had the made for iPhone, but then when it came to the lithium ion rechargeability and the adjustability sort of overseas, that's where it kind of sort of fell down a bit. So when we were chatting, you reminded me that you had a product that not only offered the made for iPhone technology, so the lady could use that phone as a remote control, take telephone calls, use it even as a remote microphone, charge the hearing aids up with no worries about them running out throughout the day, get them at an attractive price point because you had 5 levels of quality, which I don't think is available elsewhere in the industry. And what was the other thing? She'd mentioned the issue with TV. So you actually have a TV stream which doesn't involve any wires. You can just pair it as a one-off, and then you'd hear the sound as if you're wearing a quality set of headphones. So remind me the model.
So it's the NX Pure Charge and Go. We've got 5 performance levels within that. I say lots of people have different budgets and you want to be able to cater for them all.
Sure.
Obviously there are features that are reduced as the levels go down. But in terms of Bluetooth, in terms of rechargeability, we carry that through the whole range from 7 right the way down to our second performance level as well.
Yeah, which is excellent. And something I've found with other manufacturers, you may have 5 performance levels, but you're then straddling 2 generations of technology. And other brands that used to have 5 have reduced to 4, some have only got 3. So actually to have such a broad portfolio offering those, I won't say must-have features, but the features certainly that were on the lady's tick list was quite impressive to me. So that was excellent.
That's telecare as well, wasn't it? That she needed. And it was a must-have for that particular patient.
Exactly, because she couldn't necessarily jump in a plane and come and see me if she wanted them adjusting up or the clarity altering. But as you say, we could arrange that as an appointment sort of online effectively. So she didn't necessarily need to come and see me for that.
Absolutely.
So that was
it's a great way of monitoring how she's getting on as well.
Yes.
As well as being able to remote tune from a distance as well. And that carries on, as I say, from the very top performance level right the way down to our lower performance levels as well. But as they all have Bluetooth, you've got full control over what is in Connex and changing what's in Connex.
Which is the software.
Which is the software, of course. And then that will be transmitted to her hearing aids and to her phone, which she can then accept or decline, depending on
which sounds incredible, doesn't it? I mean, to think that when I started in the industry, a chart and a jeweler's screwdriver was my programming equipment, and now we're doing things through space. It's pretty cool. So there was another chap recently I'd called you about, and he wanted the sound crossing over from his completely deaf ear into his better ear, so he didn't have what's called the head shadow effect. He could hear when people were talking that side, didn't constantly have to arrange his life where people were on his better hearing ear. But here's the challenge, and I've had this with a couple of people, didn't want the solution to be visible. So it sounded like a slightly unreasonable request, but he'd already rejected the NHS solution, which worked quite well, but was a sort of a relatively noticeable behind the ear hearing aid. And actually, I've seen a couple of patients where they've got those living in drawers. They could work well for them, but they just felt a little bit too self-conscious. So you've got what they call a crossover system that's also invisible. Can you tell us a bit about that one?
Yeah, so it's you say unreasonable, but people have different needs, don't they? And if it's a case of having discrete hearing aids, but needs the solution which he needs because he has one essentially dead ear. And so we need to be able to give the Cros. So we've got a silk product, which is an in-the-ear product, which can actually have a Cros aid as well.
Wow.
So it's actually an instant fit CIC, which is made for all, so you don't need to take impressions and such. Got different sleeves which cater for different ears. And as Matthew was saying quite rightly, that it's able to take sound from one ear and pass it across to the other side, and have a really good cross system as a result, which is great. I mean, we would always recommend over the ear to get the best sound quality, and we do that in our rechargeable systems with Bluetooth as well on a Cros, which is great. But the silk is for particular people who have the need for having discrete hearing aids.
Absolutely.
And still need a Cros, which is, I think, is a really, really good solution that we offer. Yeah.
And I mean, the other one, and you sort of mentioned the other patient I was going to talk to you about, lady who lives out of town. She'd seen me a couple of times and had a change in hearing, which meant a traditional hearing aid was no longer going to work for her. And she had a fairly big and bulky pair of NHS hearing aids that she felt self-conscious about wearing, but she was willing to wear something that could be seen. So what she ended up with was a crossover device, but also she wanted the benefit of connecting to her iPhone. And you know, that didn't sound like something that was available because I fitted crossover devices before successfully with other manufacturers. But in order to get the connection to the iPhone, the patients either had to have something around the neck or something clipped to them, which then required charging. And the new Signia solution actually doesn't require that, does it?
Yeah, so it's the Pure NX Pure Charge and Go, which has a Cros solution as well. So it's a rechargeable Cros. Which has direct streaming as well, so it's got all the benefits of the general Cros RICs, general NX RICs, but also comes in a Cros, as I say.
Wow.
So it's a really, really good solution. We've actually got the most comprehensive rechargeable solutions. So we've got a wide range of rechargeable RIC instruments, which, as we're talking about, does include the Cros as well.
And I think for that particular lady, she hadn't requested rechargeability, but as seems to be the norm these days, once people have tried rechargeability, probably not going to go back to disposable batteries, and that slight uncertainty of, I've forgotten to bring any out and I'm going to that meeting. It's just nice to have that confidence. And actually your system is, we'll chuck an image up on the screen. You've got a very sort of easy to use rechargeable system, haven't you? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
As you say, it's crazy to think that in everything that we buy and everything that we have, whether it's a phone or a toothbrush or anything, we expect it to be rechargeable.
Indeed.
And that's no different from hearing aids nowadays. People won't want to go from their phone to having to put batteries into their hearing instruments. It's a difficult situation. Plus, on top of that, you've got people with bad dexterity who would find it a lot more useful to have rechargeable hearing aids. We've got a lithium-ion solution, and the reason ours is different to the rest, I would say, is for the fact that it's contactless charging. So you've got the ability just to pop it into the charger without any contact points, having to worry about what position it's in, whether you have to turn it on or off before you put them in or take them out, because the hearing aids will turn off automatically when you put them into the charger. It's a very simple drop into the charger, and then again when you lift them out, it will tell you exactly how much charge there is. You pick it up, the hearing aids turn on, and then you can just pop them on. So in terms of dexterity, it's a fantastic solution. Yeah, absolutely. But on top of that, I think for anyone who has sort of tech savvy kind of into their technology, it's a very beautiful looking instrument, and it ticks all the boxes, I would say, for someone who wants a bit of decent technology in a rechargeable product as well.
Now, and sort of moving away a little bit from our sort of client studies, if you like, I just distinctly remember a demonstration we did where I think we was talking earlier about directionality, and what I noticed was we were in a very noisy sort of street corner cafe, which is, I think, always good for a demonstration. And I was very mindful of basically the water coming up off the tyres behind me. So what you did next was pretty impressive. Can you tell me about that with the directionality?
Yeah, it's funny you say about the tyres. It's one of the things, isn't it, when you fit hearing aids for the first time, people start saying, oh, does that always make that noise? Or did that chair always squeak? And it's something that probably all of you will have realised when fitting hearing aids. But in terms of the directionality, what we're able to do is reduce or attenuate the surrounding sound and just to focus in on that one person. As we know, we've got lots of competing noises in very complex situations. What we're able to do is go down to a 10-degree narrow beam directionality, all based on our binaural processing, the audio exchange from ear to ear, which we have. Going down to a 10-degree beam and really focusing on that person that you want to listen to.
Yeah, it's just like a torch rather than a light bulb. It's very focused.
Exactly, absolutely, yeah. So, and you've heard yourself how much of a difference that made in terms
a very
of
significant
attenuating
difference.
The sound around. Absolutely.
So it was like I was sort of picking you out of the crowd, and all the other noise had sort of pretty much gone. And when you showed me on the app, I mean, it was very visual the way that happened, which I thought was a nice feature, because sometimes if you're pressing a button on a remote, it's like, well, which mode am I in? Whereas that's just nice to say, I've gone from sort of an all-encompassing sound to a very narrow sort of focus point. So that was great.
Patients like control, don't they? Patients like a lot of control in everything that they do. So we've got the ability to widen the beam if you feel like you need to do so. Generally, when you're trying to hear that person in a noisy situation, you're really focused in on them. You're trying to hear that one person, and they're generally in front of you. So we go into it in and out of a narrow beam directionality, which you can widen manually or even completely bring out.
So you've got choice.
You've got a lot of choice. A lot of control. And alternatively, you can just leave it in automatic and let the hearing aids do, because it's very, very quick and robust in what it does.
The other thing, if you remember during the demonstration, is I did feel it was a little bit of a gimmick initially when I read about it online, but actually experiencing it, the OVP, the own voice processing, was really sort of quite impressive. So I think rather than me trying to explain, could you explain to the viewers how that works?
Yeah, so own voice processing is essentially the hearing aid is learning your voice and reducing the gain on your voice separately to the rest of the soundscape. So it's basically processing your voice and the rest of the soundscape in two separate ways.
Right.
And what we're able to do as a result of that is as I say, reduce the amplification on your voice alone. Because as we know, when someone wears a hearing aids, generally the first thing that they will say, or generally the first thing that they'll notice, is their own voice and how much echoey that is, or how much more amplification there is. They won't be comfortable with how they sound. What you end up doing is either opening up the vents slightly more in order to get rid of the voice issue, or alternatively decrease the low frequency in order to hear. Exactly, and then you're affecting how they hear, because even with the open vents, you're saying how great the hearing aids are, and then they go into the noisy situation where the hearing aids are meant to reduce the surrounding sounds and attenuate that.
And it's all coming in naturally.
So that doesn't really work essentially. So what we're able to do, because of the own voice processing, is we could potentially close up the domes a little bit more. Therefore, get more sound into the hearing aids. As opposed to straight into their ears, and once the hearing aids are delivering the sound into the ears, it's got a full control over what it can do.
So the full feature set's working, isn't
absolutely, a lot more control with the features that it can do. So when you're talking about that narrow beam directionality, there is no other sound getting into the ears. It's simply through the hearing aids, which
so that's
makes
why
a big
it was
difference.
so effective.
Absolutely, exactly.
Well, that's great. I mean, we could sort of carry on because there are other features, but I really think there's probably more content for another day. So what we'd like you to do, if you've enjoyed today's content, please like the video, subscribe to the Zone 1 Hearing channel, press the bell for notifications so you can hear when more content's being released, and any comments you'd like to make about any future content, we'll always try and include those as we go forward. So thank you very much to Sunir for coming along. Really appreciate that, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Have a fantastic rest of your day.